I am 96 years old. I am the last one left, the last one standing in a world that has buried everyone I ever cared about, everyone who ever cared about me, everyone who knew my name before I became just another old woman in a wheelchair. My name is Rose. I was born in 1928. I have lived through the Great Depression, World War II, the moon landing, the fall of the Berlin Wall, 9/11, and now this strange new world of computers and phones that talk back to you. I have lived too long. I have stayed at the party after everyone else went home. Before I join them, before I become just another name on a gravestone that no one will visit, I need to tell you what it means to outlive your entire world, what it costs to be the sole survivor of your own life story. You think death comes for people one at a time, that it gives you time to adjust, time to grieve, time to find new people to love. You think there will always be someone left who remembers your younger self, someone who knew you before you became old and forgettable and invisible. You are wrong. Let me tell you about the mathematics of living too long. It starts with your parents. That is normal, expected. Children bury their parents. That is the natural order, the way things are supposed to work. I buried my mother in 1978 and my father in 1981. I was 50 years old then, still young enough to have decades of life ahead of me, still young enough to think 50 was the middle of the story instead of closer to the end. Then you bury your spouse, also expected, though it always feels like a surprise when it happens. My husband Robert died in 1999. We had been married for 47 years. I was 71, old enough to be a widow, but young enough to think I might find companionship again. Young enough to believe there would be other chapters in my story. But then something happens that no one prepares you for. You start burying your friends, the people who knew you when you were young and foolish and full of dreams, the people who remember your wedding, your children's births, your struggles and victories, and all the small moments that made up a shared life. My best friend Helen died in 2003. We had been friends for 62 years since we were teenagers working at the same dime store. Helen knew me before I was married, before I was a mother, when I was just Rose with big dreams and terrible taste in lipstick. When Helen died, a part of my history died with her. Then my friend Martha in 2007, Dorothy in 2009, Jean in 2011. One by one, the women who had been bridesmaids at my wedding, who had raised children alongside me, who had grown old with me, they all went ahead to whatever comes next and left me behind to remember them alone. You bury your siblings. I had 3. My brother James died in 2005. My sister Patricia in 2008. My youngest brother Tommy in 2012. We were the 4 Murphy children, born between 1925 and 1932, and suddenly I was the only one left who remembered our childhood, our parents, the house where we grew up during the Depression. When Tommy died, I became the sole keeper of all our family stories. The only one who remembered how our mother used to hum while she cooked, how our father read us the Sunday comics in different voices for each character. I became a library of memories with no one to share them with. Then comes the part that breaks you. You bury your children. This is not supposed to happen. This violates every natural law, every assumption about how life is supposed to work. Parents are not supposed to outlive their children. But when you live to 96, the mathematics of mortality work against you in ways that feel like punishment. My son David died in 2015. He was 62 years old, which sounds old until you realize he was my baby, the boy I rocked to sleep, the man I was so proud of. David had a heart attack at his office, died instantly, and suddenly I was a mother with no children, a parent with no one to parent. My daughter Susan died in 2019. Cancer. She was 61. I sat by her hospital bed holding her hand, and all I could think was that this was wrong, that I was supposed to go first, that children are not supposed to die while their mothers watch helplessly from wheelchairs. Susan's death made me an orphan at 91 years old, an orphan with no parents, no siblings, no spouse, no children. Just me and the terrible arithmetic of having lived too long in a world that was not designed for people to survive this much loss. But it does not stop there. You bury your children's spouses. You bury your grandchildren. My grandson Michael died in a car accident in 2020. He was 34 years old, married, with 2 small children of his own. I outlived my own grandchild. I attended the funeral of someone who was supposed to attend mine. You bury your neighbors. Mrs. Jenkins next door, who used to bring me soup when I was sick, gone in 2017. Mr. Patterson across the street, who shoveled my driveway for 15 winters without being asked, gone in 2018. The mailman who knew my name, the librarian who saved books she thought I would like, the pharmacist who remembered all my medications, all gone. You bury your doctors. 3 different physicians who took care of me for decades. Dr. Williams, who delivered Susan, Dr. Martinez, who helped me through menopause and Robert's death, Dr. Chen, who managed my diabetes for 20 years. I have outlived the people who were supposed to take care of me, who knew my medical history better than I did. You bury people who were younger than you. My great-niece, Amy, died of an overdose in 2021. She was 28. I had to explain to people at the funeral how I was related to her because there was no one left who remembered our family tree. I am the only one who knows that Amy looked exactly like her great-grandmother, my sister Patricia, when she smiled. The hardest part is not the funerals. Funerals are just one day of sadness in a long life full of sad days. The hardest part is the silence that comes after. The silence of having no one to call when something funny happens. No one to share memories with. No one who knew you when you were young and stupid and beautiful. I live alone in an apartment now. I moved here after Susan died because the house was too big and too full of ghosts. This place is nice enough, clean, safe. But it is not home because home is not a place, it is people, and all my people are gone. The other residents here are kind, but they are not my people. They did not know Robert's laugh or David's stubborn streak or Susan's terrible jokes. They are strangers being polite to another stranger. We eat dinner together sometimes and talk about the weather, but we do not share a history. We do not have stories that start with "remember when." My days are long and quiet. I wake up in the morning, and for just a moment, I forget that everyone is gone. I reach for the phone to call Helen about something I saw on the news, or I think about baking cookies for David's birthday, or I wonder what Susan would think about some foolishness I read in the newspaper. Then I remember, they are all gone. Every single person who made up my world, who gave my life meaning and context and connection, they have all gone ahead without me and left me to finish the story alone. I have pictures, hundreds of pictures in albums no one will ever look through after I am gone. Pictures of weddings and birthdays and graduations and ordinary Tuesdays that seemed unremarkable when they were happening but now seem precious because they are proof that all these people existed, that my life was full of love even though it is empty now. But pictures are not people. Pictures do not call to check on you or laugh at your jokes or remember your birthday or care if you are lonely. Pictures are just shadows of a life that used to be full and is now empty except for memories that grow heavier instead of lighter with time. People ask me what the secret to longevity is, as if living this long is an achievement instead of an accident. They want to know what I eat, how much I exercise, what keeps me going. They think I have some wisdom about life because I have lived so much of it. Here is the truth about living too long. There is no wisdom in it. There is no prize for being the last one standing. There is no meaning in outlasting everyone you love. It is not a blessing. It is not a gift. It is just what happens when your body keeps working after your heart has been broken too many times to count. The secret to longevity is not dying when everyone else does. That is all. There is no special diet, no exercise routine, no positive attitude that explains why I am still here when Robert and David and Susan and Helen and all the rest are not. I just happen to have a body that refused to quit even after my reasons for living walked away one funeral at a time. Young people sometimes visit me, church groups and school classes and volunteer organizations. They come to hear stories from someone who lived through the good old days, who can tell them about life before computers and cell phones and all the things they think are problems. I disappoint them. I do not have happy stories about the good old days because the good old days were not the days themselves, but the people who shared them with me. The 1950s were wonderful because I was young and married to Robert and raising babies who thought I was the smartest woman in the world. The 1960s were exciting because I was watching David learn to drive and Susan learn to read. The days themselves were just days, work and worry and bills to pay and problems to solve. What made them good was having people to work and worry with. People who cared about the same small things I cared about. people who made ordinary life feel extraordinary just by sharing it. These young visitors want me to tell them that life gets easier as you get older, that age brings peace and acceptance and some kind of serene wisdom. They want to believe that 96 years of living has taught me secrets about happiness that they can learn without having to live through all the loss that taught me. But I have no secrets. I have no wisdom. I have no peace. I just have memories of people who are gone and the terrible knowledge that love does not protect you from loss, that caring deeply about people just means you will miss them deeply when they are gone. The worst part of outliving everyone is not the loneliness, though the loneliness is crushing. The worst part is becoming the sole witness to lives that mattered. When Helen died, I became the only person who remembered how she sang off key, but with such joy that it did not matter. When David died, I became the only person who knew that he was afraid of butterflies as a child, because one landed on his face when he was 3. I am a library of stories that will die with me, a museum of memories that has no visitors. I carry the histories of dozens of people who loved and worked and worried and dreamed. And when I die, all of that will disappear as if it never happened. Sometimes I think about writing things down, but what would be the point? Who would read stories about people no one remembers? Who cares that Martha made the best apple pie in 3 counties, or that Robert could fix anything that broke, or that Susan never learned to parallel park but somehow managed to raise 3 beautiful children anyway? The truth is that most lives are forgotten within a generation or 2 of ending. We are all just temporary arrangements of atoms that think we matter more than we do. Our stories feel important to us, but they are not important to history. They are just small human dramas that play out and end and are replaced by other small human dramas. But they mattered to me. All of these people who are gone now, they mattered to me more than anything else in the world. They were my world. And now I am sitting in the ruins of that world, the sole survivor of a civilization of love that existed for me alone. I used to think that the point of living was to accumulate experiences, to see things and do things and learn things and grow as a person. I thought life was about becoming someone, about building something, about leaving some kind of mark on the world. Now I know that the point of living is to love people and be loved by them. Everything else is just decoration. All the experiences and achievements and possessions and accomplishments, they mean nothing if there is no one to share them with, no one who cares that you had them. I lived through history. I saw the world change in ways that would have been unimaginable when I was young. I watched man walk on the moon and computers shrink from room-sized machines to devices you carry in your pocket. I saw the rise and fall of nations, the cure of diseases, the invention of technologies that seemed like magic. But none of that matters to me now. What matters is that Robert held my hand for 47 years. What matters is that David called me every Sunday until the Sunday he could not call anymore. What matters is that Susan and I laughed until we cried at least once every time we were together. The big historical moments were just background noise to the real story, which was the small daily miracle of being known and loved by people who chose to share their lives with me. And now they are all gone, and I am still here, and I do not know why. I do not know what purpose is served by my continuing to breathe when everyone who gave my breathing meaning has stopped breathing themselves. Maybe I am still here to tell you this story. Maybe I am still here to warn you that if you live long enough, you will lose everyone. And the only thing that makes loss bearable is having loved them in the first place. Love people while you have them. Love them recklessly and completely and without holding back because you are afraid of being hurt when they leave. You will be hurt when they leave. The hurt is the price of admission to the human experience. But the love is worth the price, even when the price is everything you have. Do not wait to love people until you are sure they will stay. No one stays forever. Everyone leaves, either by choice or by death, and you cannot control which one or when, but you can control how fully you love them while they are here. Call your parents, hug your children, tell your spouse that you adore them even when they leave dishes in the sink. Spend time with your friends even when you are busy. Show up for people even when it is inconvenient. Be present for the small moments because the small moments are what you will remember when the big moments have been forgotten. I am 96 years old and I am the last one left. But I would rather be 96 and heartbroken from loving people than 96 and empty from never having loved anyone at all. The arithmetic of living too long is brutal, but the arithmetic of loving people is beautiful, even when it ends in loss, especially when it ends in loss. Because love that ends in loss was still love, and love is the only thing that makes being human worth the trouble. I am tired now. So tired of carrying all these memories alone. But I am grateful too. Grateful that I got to love all these people, even if loving them means missing them for the rest of whatever time I have left. Go love someone. Love them like they might not be here tomorrow, because they might not be. Love them like you are the one who might not be here tomorrow, because you might not be. Love them enough that if you outlive them, you will have no regrets about how you loved them when you had the chance.